Thank you for staying with us. You're still watching The Breakfast on Plus TV Africa. Right now, we're discussing our second hot topic. It says import policy hurts local lubricant production. Lubricant producers in Nigeria under the Lubricant Producers Association of Nigeria, LUPAN, have criticized the federal government's import policy. They claim it allows low-quality, recycled oils to flood the market, which harms local production and reduces the capacity of domestic plants to just 30 to 40. The group, led by Chairman Alhaji Mustafa Mohammed, warned that the policy has caused over 10 billion naira in losses and threatens more than 20,000 jobs. They also stated that this recycled oil damage machinery and undermine trust in locally made lubricants. LUPAN is urging the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority, NMDPRA, to revise the policy. They advocate for stricter import controls and support for local manufacturers to meet most of the country's lubricant needs, protecting jobs and boosting the industry. Our guest this morning is Kingsley Jeremiah. He's the editor of Energy, Abuja Deputy Bureau Chief, The Guardian. Good morning. Thank you for joining us.
Good morning, and thank you for having me on the program today. My
pleasure to have you. All right, so right now we're speaking about, the lubricant manufacturing industry, but in general, the manufacturing industry, we've seen the ease of doing business not being the best, especially when it comes to import duties like this, when it comes to electricity. A lot of factors, to be honest, threatens people and their businesses. Now, the lubricant manufacturing industry is already saying that the import policy doesn't work for them, is ensuring that people are bringing recycled and damaged oils, which in turn will probably damage, all of the cars, generators, or whatever engines is being used on. But what's your take on the import policy and the fact that they're speaking on this?
Okay, I think the concern of the lubricant producers in Nigeria are germane, very important, because we need to protect our own manufacturers. And the point they have given regarding the influx of adulterated products into the market has been a challenge for the lubricant segment of the downstream petroleum industry. The government needs to find a way to fix it. The more we protect the local producers, the better it is for us. But protecting the local producers should not be at the expense of the consumers. So the consumer bear the brunt of the problem. So we need to get a way to ensure that the local producers are protected on one hand, and then the consumers are also protected on another hand. Over time, it is always better when we control quality locally than control what comes into the country. So situations where the manufacturers or the lubricant producers are saying that government needs to find a way to hurt imports. Currently, they produce about 30 to 40% of the lubricant we use, and then there is still about 60 to 70% that we import into the country. For us to find a way to hurt that, we need to increase the level of local production. And if we find all of this done together, we'll be able to protect one way the consumer and on the other way the producers themselves.
So I'm just even wondering, if we have our own local production here, why are we even relying on imported products to the point that some of them are even being adulterated?
Yeah.
Can you hear me?
I lost you at some point.
Okay, I was just saying that, if we have our own production plants here, we have some plants that can produce this thing, why are we even relying on imported, lubricants, and some of them are even being adulterated at this point, so why are we even heavy on that?
Now, Now, so if I get your question very well, the question is regarding why do we even have adulterated products
Why
in
we
the
even
market?
importing them in if we have our own production here, if we have plants that can produce it for us? Because I mean, there's that thing that says, buy Naija to grow the Naira, and if we're trying to support or even ensure that our own currency is strengthened, then why are we still relying on imports?
Yes, so largely you were still breaking. I didn't get you where, but if I get you correctly, the issue around adulteration, the Standard Organization of Nigeria and the Nigerian Downstream Mainstream Regulatory Authority needs to come up with strong policies. And what the NNDPRA, the Downstream Mainstream Authority, did some days ago was to bring most of the players together to say, hey, this is a critical issue that we need to address. Even if you're going to give an import license, we need to find a way to protect the market and ensure that adulterated product doesn't come in. Now, for you to protect against the influx of adulteration, this is not just in the petroleum industry. It happens across sectors in Nigeria. And most of these products come into the Nigerian port. Some of them also find their ways into the market by being smuggled into the market. From what the local producers are saying, there are also a segment of the market, which is a black market, people who blend this oil and then eventually find their way into the market. So what that tells you is the Standard Organization of Nigeria that should enforce standard is possibly not doing its job well. The Nigerian the Nigerian Complaints and Consumer Protection Council is also not doing its job well. If these people protect the market very well, you most likely not see this level of adulteration that you find in the market. The Nigerian Port Authority is another entry point where most of these goods come into the market. They also need to guide, and also they need the knowledge. Most of the time when this product bypass them, they don't know which is adulterated and which is original. So they have to up their game. They need to up their game one way or the other to be able to detect what is coming into the market and have a proper identification and documentation. Documentation is part of what NNDPRA is trying to do. If you have proper documentation and identification of products, there are chances that the custom guys at the ports will be able to do their job properly. But the bulk of the job relies so much around the Standard Organization of Nigeria, the Federal Complaints and Consumer Protection Council, and then the NNDPRA, which is the petroleum arm that should set the rule, provide the license, and make sure that the market is sanitized. So these people need to be up to their game to ensure that the adulteration doesn't happen within the market.
I mean, so that wasn't even my question, but I just had to let you speak because that's also important. That talks about policy regulation. And I think even the SON obviously has a role to play here as well. But my question was, if we have capable producers here, why are we relying on imports? And I was just speaking on the fact that, they always say, buy Naija to, grow the Naira, right? And if we're looking at ensuring that our currency is strengthened, shouldn't it even be that because we have capable hands here, that we shouldn't even be importing, lubricants? Even if we have to, maybe it could be some raw materials that we probably do not have, and then we can import that. So why are we still relying heavily on imports? And also, because we don't have a lot of time, I also want you to, just talk on this. What do you think the government can do to support these people when it comes to research and development, when it comes to funding, when it comes to tax relief, whatever the case might be? How do you think the government can support them?
So on one hand, currently,
Hello, sir? Yes, I can hear you.
Yes, so currently, most of the local producers still rely on the international market for their raw materials. The rate at which we are seeing emergence of refineries in the market, particularly the Dangote refinery, then the modular refinery should be able to provide for them base oil for them to use in terms of what they need to do in making, which is a key requirement in making lubricant oil. So if they are able to find these raw materials locally, a lot of them will produce better, they will work better, and then they won't have the struggle to look for foreign exchange to get their raw materials from overseas. So that's on one hand. Then government needs to find a way to get incentive for these people. If you noticed recently, immediately the Naira got devaluated and then FX become a critical challenge. The cost of lubricant oil went up so bad. At some point, we were buying a liter of basic oil, not the system. I mean, not synthetic oil. We're buying it for about 4,000 naira, and currently most of those products has gone up as for 1 liter. Currently gone up to about 6,000 naira or so. So for you to service your car, if you're not using the premium lubricant oil, for instance, for you to service your car, you'll be talking about needing close to like 25 to 30,000 naira to service your car. Most of the people who use the premium oil needs close to like 100,000 naira to just service their cars. So this is the impact that we see our market falling on because we rely so much on importation. So if government find a way to support these people and ensure that they get soft loan that they should get, protect the market, and ensure that it is not the role of the producers to sanitize the market, it is the role of the government. If the government is able to play its own part in ensuring that the market is sanitized, in ensuring that to some extent most of the oil that comes into the market doesn't get into the market, then the demand will be there for local products. And from what they're saying, they currently run just a single shift. They're saying that they can up their capacity to about 2 to 3 shifts and then move their output to about 70%. If you're making 70% locally and you're getting 30% from other parts of the continent or the world, it makes things much more better. It will increase profitability for the guy and also help the nation's economy. So this is a critical aspect that government needs to look for. One, ensure that the local refineries provide a level of local resources for these people, ensure that the black marketers within the markets are not there, because the more the black marketers are there, they produce cheap oil.
Low quality, yeah. I was just saying they produce low quality oils.
Yeah, so they produce cheaper oil that will eventually damage people's engine. But because of cost, most people still move on to buy the cheaper oil. But if the local market is sanitized, the operators can optimize their output, and then the market over time can become better instead of relying so much on imports.
Fantastic. I'm sure there's a lot of work that needs to be done in this. The government needs to support these people, like you mentioned, soft loans and whatnot. I think tax reliefs definitely would work here. Funding, in research and development as well, because it would be nicer if we can just take this entire manufacturing industry and hold on to it, and that would obviously be a way to generate revenue for the country. So why not? We definitely need a lot of policy regulation from NNDPRA and SON on this other hand, and even the people need to be sensitized about this, have that awareness that instead of going for the cheap oils that would damage your engines in return, why not go for the premium ones, but then make it affordable for the people. And if we don't have to import a whole lot, and obviously with the monies that are being put for these manufacturers, is the consumers that get the brunt of it at the end of the day. So in a way, we still need to think about the consumers and think of how we can be affordable for them. So if we can do all of this, I'm sure we should be on the right track. Anyways, this is how much we can take right now. I want to say thank you so much for coming. It's always a pleasure having you, Jeremiah. Thank you for your time this morning.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Thank you for having me this morning.
Yeah, have a wonderful day.
And you too.
All right, we're speaking with Kingsley Jeremiah. He's the editor, Energy Abuja Deputy Bureau Chief of The Guardian. And we've just been looking at the fact that, well, the import duty for the local manufacturers for the lubricant has been a lot, and they're crying or saying it's too much, and they're urging people to, or rather the government, to do something about it, that it is actually hurting the local production in Nigeria. This is where we have to wrap it up on the show today. Thank you so much for having the breakfast with me. My name is Rume Paulson. I'll see you again on Monday. Have a wonderful weekend. Good morning.